How could there possibly be some sort of conspiracy around snow? But maybe you shouldn't be surprised to learn in today's world that there is one. Our science guys, Harrison Roos and Jesse Rogerson, are here. Welcome back.
Hey, Jerry.
Always fun to have you guys. Now, sometimes we're talking about outer space, and we will in a moment about something else. But no trouble at all finding some snowballs.
No, we went outside.
To bring in.
There's lots out there.
All right, you've brought snowballs and a lighter.
And a lighter, barbecue lighter.
Barbecue lighter.
Very technical.
All right, let's talk for a moment about what the conspiracy theory was.
So basically what happened is, and we all know about this because it was all over the news, is that the parts of the United States that normally don't get snow got a ton
Like
of
Atlanta.
snow.
Namely Atlanta.
Namely Atlanta. And as a result, what happened, these people who don't normally see snow started experimenting with it. And there's some really great videos of people bringing in snow inside. And then they got kind of confused because they took a snowball and then they wanted to melt it with a lighter. And it didn't do exactly what they were expecting.
All right.
And so what you see on the screen there was Harrison was actually had a snowball and a lighter, and we're going to do it here in the studio to show you what exactly happens.
Well, first we'll explain what the conspiracy theory was, and then you'll explain the science, right?
Yeah, what happened is that when people were lighting the snow like this, just like I'm doing here, they were expecting it to start dripping all over the place.
And not to get black.
And it's not dripping anywhere, and if you look closely, the snow is actually getting black. It's burning. It's getting this sort of singed color on it, which you wouldn't expect, right? It's snow. Why would snow do that? So it must be a government conspiracy because
which would
they want
what, chemtrails or something?
The jets were leaving chemtrails, and the government wants everybody to watch more television commercials.
Well, that is interesting because you would think, I mean, that's what you would sort of expect to see if it were made out of some sort of foam,
like plastic,
right? It would shrink up when it was heated, and it would turn black.
Yep, but this is just a
snowball. That's actual snow. I will attest to that.
Yeah, it's cold.
Many years of experience.
That's right. This is Canada. We know what snow is. We're the experts. But it's just normal, ordinary science that explains all this. It's not a government conspiracy. There's two things happening. One is why it doesn't drip. As the snow here heats up, it does turn to liquid, but there's lots of frozen snow around it that's actually absorbing that liquid. And so it doesn't
instead of
drip.
coming out, it goes in. It retreats into the snow.
Up to a point. If you keep going and keep melting, the snow will get to a point where there's so much water in it that it can't hold on to it anymore, and then it does just melt, and you will end up with a glass of water or a puddle of water.
Here in Canada, we know slushy snow pretty well.
It's slush.
Yeah,
exactly.
well, in fact, if you were to set that on a heated surface, like a frying pan, you could actually see it start to absorb the water. You don't see it run out into the pan.
It absorbs it up, and then once it gets to a point, it will turn into a puddle.
Explode, or just not explode, but just kind of
melt into a puddle.
Just becomes a puddle. Yeah. Now, what about the black? Where's
That's
that
the fun.
This is the fun one. It's actually, think about your car. If your car is burning a little bit too much oil, you can get that sort of black soot around your tailpipe. This is actually exactly the same thing. This lighter here is burning butane. It's a fuel.
Yes.
And it gives off exhaust. And ordinarily in the air here, you can't see that exhaust. But if you put a nice, clean, white snowball over it, the exhaust starts to show up on the snow. And so this is
there's
just the
uncomfortably
exhaust.
more of it than you would want.
Don't breathe in lighter exhaust.
Okay.
But actually goes to show you, and the snow is just showing you the exhaust that's coming out of the lighter. And it's quite a bit of it.
Yeah, but it literally did cause some people to freak out, and then they made videos, and of course people get their science off the internet.
Yes, and this is the key thing here, is there's nothing wrong with doing the experiments and putting the stuff on the internet.
That's great, science is good.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. The key thing and the lesson here about science is that not to jump to conclusions, and those being conspiracy theories. You should say, okay, I don't know why it's turning black and not melting, but then you shouldn't make that jump to, okay, it's got to be a conspiracy. You should
saying I don't know is a really good thing in science.
Yes.
But then keep doing the experiment and figure out what's actually going on.
Although they do say, I'm sure this is right, that if you've got it right, it's repeatable.
That's right.
Well, it was repeatable.
It is.
They could heat the snow, the water disappeared.
And it does it every time.
Yeah, it turns black, and
but then you have to keep doing the experiment, like put it in a frying pan and see if it melts and turns to water.
And eventually,
and not only does it have to be repeatable, but the community has to accept it, and that's also part of science. Which
there's a community that was accepting.
That's true.
That something the chemtrails or some government experiment, or the Russians were sending some stuff over.
Right. Maybe it was promotion for Sochi.
That's probably what it was.
There we go. All right. Now, oftentimes when you hear, you were talking about things that happen outside our atmosphere and not our snow. And we will come back in a moment and talk about some activity on the sun upcoming on Straight Talk. Now, if you can see the sun, don't run out and look at it with your naked eyes in order to see this, but apparently with proper protection, you can see it. Spots on the sun. What's going on?
So a sunspot, yes, and you can see them with the naked eye, especially this complex that's there right now.
With the naked protected eye.
The naked protected eye that you can get from any various store, both online or actual store. You can get shades that block out most of the light, so you don't get hurt. But if you went out right now and had a pair of those glasses and looked at the sun, there would be these black marks, very noticeable
Like
black
we're seeing?
marks,
Yeah.
like we're seeing. And those are spots created by basically tangled up magnetic fields on the surface of the sun, and they make these little black spots. The reason they're cool is, well, one, you can actually watch the rotation of the sun by watching the sunspot.
Oh, because otherwise you just can't see that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to
and the
notice.
sun does rotate the same as the planets do and all that.
So
it does,
those things are not moving across the surface of the sun.
No,
You're
the
seeing
sun is rotating.
Well, that's
right.
cool.
Yeah, and about once every month or so.
Yeah. And there's a really big one right now, bigger than the size of the Earth.
Easily,
is
multiple
visible
Earths.
right now.
Yeah.
You know, I read that this morning and I thought, what a great representation that is of just how massive the sun is, because those look like spots on the sun, and those spots are bigger than the Earth.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
What does this mean to us, other
So-
than it's cool to look at?
Yeah, it can mean a couple things. It could also mean nothing. I mean, if they just
Okay.
sit there and sort of don't really do anything, don't bubble, then they'll just sit there and rotate around and go to the other side of the sun. We won't see it anymore. But they could sort of snap and let go of their energy, the magnetic fields, and when that happens, we get huge coronal mass ejections and solar flares.
Solar flares.
And
Which
that
means
does what?
If it's pointed towards us, then you get those big northern lights like we talked about a few weeks ago. It can interfere with communications if they're particularly powerful as well.
Well, it's not a heat thing.
No.
No, it's a magnetic field thing that,
Yeah.
Okay.
and it launches these charged particles away from the sun, and the charged particles are what mess with not only our atmosphere, but also
GPS satellites,
GPS, that
things
kind of
like
stuff.
Would it goof up your cell phone signal?
It's possible.
It could.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
need a really big one.
Okay,
Yeah.
could it be something that actually would be damaging to us, or just kind of an irritant?
More of an irritant.
Yes.
If it's something that's damaging, something particularly serious has happened.
All right. How long until the sun would turn enough that we can't see this?
Oh, about a week,
Few weeks.
five
Okay.
days, 6
So if you
days.
get a sunny day and you get some proper protection, which I understand is not that hard to get,
No.
Nope.
sunglasses aren't good enough?
No.
No,
No.
you need a specific kind of solar filter,
Yeah.
like a metal welder's glass kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Very,
well,
very
actually, a
good.
welder's helmet would actually
Yep.
work, wouldn't
Very
it?
much so,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, plus you look really cool.
That's it.
Looking at the sun. All right. Always good to have you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks,
no
Jerry.
problem.
Thanks so much. What's the website?
Astronomy.fm, and
Yeah.
we do our live broadcast on Monday nights at 9 o'clock.
Astronomy.fm.
That's
right.
right.
Thanks so much.